Hi, my name is Marco Bronzini. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Marco Bronzini Art School and Studio. And today we're day 2 of the poppy field. A lot of you have enjoyed part 1, so let's get started. So to this palette is very similar to the other day. I've just added another color over there, which I'll show you in a second. So this is cerulean blue, ultramarine, viridian, permanent green, cad yellow light, cad orange, and I've added cad red light here, which is also going with the cad red right here. Alizarin crimson, raw sienna, some titanium white, and my liquid. So the poppies are literally sitting here. They're gonna jump right here onto the canvas. So day 2, this is the exciting part, obviously, with all those beautiful reds. And I know it's tempting to put, bright red on this, and just straight out of the tube. It's something you must never do. Never, ever, ever put a color right out of the tube. Always mix 2 or 3 colors together, okay? Maybe one time out of 1,000, you'll need a color out of the tube. That's the perfect tone, perfect color, but that's very rare. So you'll be amazed how many colors we put on this, okay? So let's get started with this red in the foreground. So I'm gonna be using my cad red light here, my cad orange, a little bit of the alizarin crimson. I'm not over mixing, just a few colors like that, okay? And then the temptation, of course, is going to go into your own world and start doing polka dots on that. It's not like that. If you look at the subject, they have a specific shape and a specific pattern. There's a lot of design going on here. You want to follow this and this, a lot going on. There's just not polka dots, Be careful about that. All right, so I'm going to start with the foreground. I'm going to start putting some of these right there. And take your time. Again, it's not a rush. It's not a race. So we're establishing the one in the immediate foreground. All kinds of different shapes. They're not two really the same. Some this way, some that way. I'm going to take different size brushes as well. Some a little smaller, some a little bigger. But the ones in the foreground are very warm. They're the brightest red, so to speak. Okay, so that's right here. I'm putting a little bit of raw sienna as well in it. And you'll see it'll make sense once everything is settled in. There's a nice cluster right here, so I'm going to put a few like this. And you see what I'm doing with my brush? Obviously, again, you do it your own way, but just some this way, some that way, some this way. Okay, we're not doing this, okay? And we keep looking at the subject. Remember, in some of my videos, I said, be a student of your subject. Now, what does that mean? That means you look at the subject. If you look at the subject for 1 minute, you can paint for 1 minute, top. After that, you should go back to your subject. That's a very important point. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit further now. Putting some of the smaller ones right in here. And I'm going to switch the brush. I'm going to take a little brush in here. Same colors, a little raw sienna, all those reds. But 4 colors, don't overmix them. And start applying the paint. Now what's going to happen in here, I'm going to put some poppies here with a smaller brush. But by the time I get up here, I'm going to use a larger brush just to create a whole area of poppies. Okay, I'm not going to take a little brush and paint each one like that. That's not what we want. And always look at the patterns. Always look at the design in the field. There's a lot going on. Make it look very natural. In your own way, of course. Again, don't copy me. Just do your own version of that. And then we're going to come back in the grass and keep building up. This is the exciting part of the painting, obviously, the poppies. So the larger ones obviously invite you into the field, and the little one go back. And you'd be surprised what colors we're going to put back there. There's a lot of colors you may be not thinking of, but I'm going to show you. So you see what I'm doing? I'm all over the place. I'm going to go sort of midway up here. I'm going to take a slightly larger brush. First, I'm going to clean it. Put a bit of liquid. Now in this one here, I'm going to put a little bit of red, but I'm also going to put a little bit of ultramarine. So because I want a little bit of lavender here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of white as well. What that does, it grays down the color. Now this one is going to be roughly back in here, like this. And you'll see you already have distance right there, just for the colors. Now what is painting? The painting is one color against another. Really, it's really that simple. So this is right in here. And then we're going to break that up as well in a minute. But for the moment, this is just the start right in here. Right in here. And then it comes down right in here. And already here, we can see some of the patterns right there. So with the big brush, you can just establish these, like this, and just create the idea of the field. There's a lot of design in there. If you look at the reference, there's a lot going on in there. And in the far distance, it's a little bit redder, just a touch. Way over there, way over there. We don't want it too red, so we're going to put a little bit of sienna as well. We don't want it too red because we don't want the color to jump in front. So the raw sienna dulls it down. You can put a little bit of purple as well if you want. Anything that's to knock the color down. And you can see it's being established right now. All right, let's return to the middle section here. And again, I'm using cad orange, cad red, a little bit of cad red light, some alizarin crimson, some raw sienna. It's all in there. Everything I'm mentioning, it's in that field. But what's vitally important as well, I can't stress that enough, is the design within the field, the patterns the flowers are creating. That may be the most important thing of all. Even if your colors are not, the greatest, if your design is good, you'll have a good painting on your hand. And after all, this is what we're after, right? A good painting. We don't want to do a photograph. And again, I'm not teaching you how to paint poppies. I'm just showing you the way I paint poppies. So you can do your own version. Again, some of the great masters would do their own version. There's a very famous Monet at Poppy Field. Beautiful. Maybe you should check that out as well. Right, come back in front here. Some of the orange here is gorgeous right in here. Right there. And what I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to reintroduce some of the grass. Right in here. All right. Let's go back a little bit at the back again. Doing a little sort of purplish color there for the distance. A bit of white. So white grays down colors. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. So you got to be careful when you use white. Yes, white is it can be an issue. Some people overuse white, and that's not a good thing. White is not the answer to everything. All right, some colors here. This is coming on very nicely. Use lots of paint. Okay, don't be scared of using paint. Don't be shy in the paint. Right there. All right. Come back maybe in the foreground a little bit more. Right in here. Right in there. Now you see what I mean by the shapes? Everyone is a slightly different shape. You can't start doing like this And you can't just wander off from the subject. You got to really look at it constantly. Okay, look at your reference. Look what it's telling you. And you can refine them a little bit later on, but start like this. Start kind of roughly, put in just a rough impression of it. All right, let's spend a little bit of time in the sky. Just cerulean blue here, some white, a little bit of the sienna, it's nice, and a little touch of ultramarine. Now, let's see what that looks like. Oops, way too white. As I mentioned before, the sky is darker, always darker at the top. So putting a bit more paint up here without going too crazy. Right there. And the sky is, as I mentioned in the part one, the sky is very simple, which is kind of nice. We don't want to, there's a lot going on below, so a nice plain sky sometimes is very nice. You can rest your eye there. And it is very, very useful. All right, I'm going to come down a little bit lower down now in the lower part of the sky. Right in here. Right in there. And you can cut into your tree. It's not an issue, not a problem. Don't worry about that. The light sky below here has a lot of distance. There's a lot of distance between that and that. Miles. That's what we want. We want miles. And then we can just blend it a little bit with that. Not overblend, just a few strokes like that. Keep it impressionist. Not to be super blended. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we're going to leave it like that, at least for the moment. We'll return to it a little bit, but it'll be good. There's a couple of high altitude clouds there. Let's put a couple of those just for our own pleasure. Right there, a couple in here. There. Yeah, it's kind of nice, like that. Very simple. All right, let's return to the poppies. I put a little bit more paint on my palette because I was running a little short there, so I added a little bit more. Okay, let's keep going here. Some nice colors right there, right here. Where are we here? Let's put some of these in here. I'm going to take an even smaller brush in a minute to get some of the effect in here. Yes. I take a slightly smaller brush right here. It's a bunch right in there, in the center. You can keep looking at design. I know it's easy to wander off and do your own sort of version of it, but best you can, try to look, because it's beautiful. Nature is the master of everything. So just look at nature. Even if you want to become an abstract painter, it all starts with nature. Trust me, that's what I've done. Be a student of nature. Okay, right there, here. You can come back to the forefront. So the cad orange, little sienna in front. And some of those larger poppies right in here. Right here, some there. This is in the immediate foreground. So some of them are large, but some of them are not so large. They're just smaller poppies. Baby poppies, we call them. You see, all I'm doing is applying paint in the right place, and then it's just a color against another. Now there's a great distance again. Let's just show this way over there. There's poppies miles away over there. Not miles away, maybe a mile away. So we're gonna put this in because it's gonna add a great distance to the painting, and that's what we're after. Great depth. I'm going to put a little bit of green in there. It's way back in here, way back there, like that. And that sits way back. It'll be even further back when I'm done with it. Right here. And there's a little bit of a distance right in here somewhere. Another field. I tell you, when the season comes up, the poppies is just all over the place in that region. All right, now I'm gonna go back to the trees. Okay, let's deal with these trees now. There's beautiful poplars right in here. Fabulous trees. I've got ultramarine, some viridian in there. They're beautiful tall trees that are very, very pretty to paint. Right here. And then there's other stuff in the background, way back in here. And other things right in here. All right, so let's reestablish the line right here with actually the poppy field ends, which is right there. So cooler color than what's in front. I have a little bit of white as well in there. A little bit of alizarin crimson, some ultramarine. That's literally where the field ends. Right, we're going to reestablish a little bit of the house. Right in here. Now, it is a white house, but of course, it's influenced by the light. So there are other colors in that. I put a little bit of raw sienna in there, which is kind of nice, right in here. There. And there's kind of a bush in front of it, which is perfect. Right here. There. And then we're going to put a little bit of light, some grass right in here. In between those two fields. Like that. And that pushes everything back very well. There. Right, there's a few trees behind the house which makes it pop out, which is good. That's what we want. Right in here, right there, another one right in here, and there's the roof line right there. We don't do too much detail, but we want to do what's there. That's the reason we picked the subject, because we like what's there. So, we try to do the best with what we have here. Some distance back in here. There's trees right there. There's another tree in front of the big one, so that kind of detaches very nicely right here. And then we got some distance back there, so we're going to put a little bit of blue as well in there, because blue goes back. There. Let's reestablish the grass, especially in the foreground. So we're going to do a few strokes in here, there and there, just filling up and creating a bit more depth in there. And if you bump into the red a little bit, it's fine, obviously, but we try not to do that. That's why we did the grass first. But now we got to go back and introduce a few little things in there, just to create depth in the field. So this is Viridian again, the ultramarine, raw sienna. Some people like to use yellow ochre. I don't really care much for yellow ochre. I like raw sienna better. It's a wonderful color. And I highly suggest it that you add that to your collection of colors. Okay, here I'm going to put a little bit of warmth in there, some yellow. Yeah, and then we're going to take a slightly smaller brush and add a few more little strokes in front. We're not saying detail, right? Because we don't like details, but we do like little things well placed. Right in here, right in there. Try to cover the canvas as best you can. Now you can have a little bit of color showing through, but not too much in this case, as I mentioned on part one. We want the poppies to be the brightest. So we don't want any highlight in the wrong place, like this and this, as an example. It just reads like a highlight. We don't want that, not in this painting. In other cases, it would be very nice, but in this case, we don't want it. So we cover the best we can in here. And some of the grass kind of goes kind of this way. It's a wild field, so it's definitely not the man-made. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Upright, some this way. So a cacophony of colors, which is beautiful. Right in here. All right, we'll keep building up in front in here, especially. It requires a lot of work. I mean, I could work on this for another 2 hours and build up really the whole field. People admire like Monet or Sisley or all those impressionists, all those masters. They spend a lot of time on the work. They went back to the subject, similar time of day, similar weather, and they went 3 or 4 times and did a lot of work, used a lot of paint. So try to kind of imitate that in your own style, of course, but Try to imitate that. Make sure you spend a lot of time on it. This is not a, we're not pressed for time here. This should be a relaxing thing to do. Just relax and enjoy the painting. But spend time on it. Spend quite a bit of time. The more you do it, the better it'll look. Right in here. I'm going to introduce some more colors in there. Right here. And I'm going to take a even smaller brush and I'm going to put in some tiny little poppies there and there. Just nothing specific, just a few little things like this, like a couple of strokes in here, some in there. Always looking for the pattern, always looking for the space that's being created by the flowers. There's a design in there. You know what I mean. So try to do the best you can. Okay, let's spend some time in the distance now. There's hills way back there. So they have a little purple in there, a little green. This is the hills above my little hometown, which is right back there. Town of Beaucaire, if you want to look it up. On the Rhone River. Very pretty town. Now, when I was a child, of course, about 10,000 people. Now it's probably triple that. There's a little distance right in here. And there's a little field in between there. It's just like quite nice right in here. To give some nice distance again. Right here. And then a bunch of trees in here. There. Just a few little things to create that depth, that distance, which we're looking for. Now on the other side in here, we're going to come back in there. Same thing in here. I'm using quite a bit of ultramarine in there. Ultramarine and the Viridian. A lot of blue in there. A lot of wonderful distance. Here. And then some stuff back in there. And then let's return to the poppies, because that's what we're doing. Let's build them up. There's thousands and thousands of them. They were really in full bloom when I took that photograph. Unbelievable. Again, some of them are very small, so just little stroke of color like this, little things. And some of them are just bigger. The ones in front, obviously, are the largest one. Right in there, it's nice there. And right in there. It's a nice, good design right there. Another one perhaps in here. We could give it a bit of a center right there. There. And some of them literally coming out of the canvas here, just to invite you into the painting. A couple here, a couple on this side. Right, let's return one more time to do a few stems. Not really stems, but just an impression of what's there. Some of them are quite bright. It's kind of a nice color there. Kind of a bluish color. Viridian, there are a little ceruleum in there. A lot of movement right here, build up. Some of them a little shorter, just like this. The busier it looks, the better in this case, because there's a lot going on in there. Now, you don't want to overwhelm the painting with details. And there's no details what we're doing here. It's just the impression of the field right in there. You can see how useful it is to have started the painting with the background, sort of a little bit of an impression of the background. And I never do that. You should never do that either. But in cases like this, in cases of a poppy field, it's one of the rare exceptions. You got to prepare a background first, because otherwise you're going to make a mess with the red and the green. So for the sake of the painting, we're going to stop right there. I could have gone another hour and a half, perhaps maybe even 2 hours if I wanted to. Maybe let it dry, come back in it on top of it. But I think for the sake of the video, I think you get the message. I hope you'll enjoy as much as you did the part one, which was very well received. And I appreciate all your comments and everything. Let me know what you think about this one. And thank you again for joining me on Marco Bronzini Art School and Studio. And please subscribe. Thank you and see you soon.